All right. Hello, Zihan. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And
Hi.
thank you so much for joining me on this call. As I mentioned to you, I mean, you've done brilliantly, and you're an ex-student of mine on the FME platform for SBL. And I thought that it'd be really great if you could spare the time to come along and talk to other students who are preparing for SBL and perhaps tell them how you got through it and not only got through it, but did exceptionally well. And if I can just share a screen for a second, something that you sent to me. So Zihan achieved a pass mark of 84% in SBL in September 2020. So a true star, Zihan. So first thing to say, I suppose, is many congratulations on that amazing performance.
Thank you.
And yeah, and thank you for joining us. So before we start, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, whether you're working full-time, studying full-time, where you are, etc. Just a bit of background to get us started. That'd be great.
Absolutely. So my name is Zihan, and I'm based in Canada, Toronto, right now. I'm fairly new here, but it's been well so far. I do work full time. I work as a financial analyst, uh, a fintech company.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so juggling studies and work is quite a challenge, but just getting there, I suppose. Um, and Yeah, well, I mean, COVID has been slightly difficult. So in terms of hobbies or getting to do anything has been slightly difficult, but we've discovered board games, so we kind of do that.
Which is your favorite board game?
uh, we just discovered Exploding Kittens. It's a
Exploding Kitten.
Yeah, it's a
Good
card
Lord.
game.
Okay.
It's a
Sounds a bit
funny
cruel to me, but never mind. Yeah.
cat related card game. So
Okay. All right. All right.
yeah,
Yeah. So you've been playing board games.
yeah.
And you work full time, and I guess you found a little bit of time after, between your board games to do a little bit of prep for SBL and sit the exam in September. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your ACCA journey and how you got to strategic professional stage and what your journey was like.
Absolutely. So I think it has been a very, very long journey for me, the ACCA journey, um, and it's only because I've had a lot of personal obligations to fulfill. I've not been able to get so far as quickly as I'd wanted.
Sure.
But my strategic professional journey has been fairly short. I started last year, and I completed my AFM SBR last year,
Wow.
and then SBL now in September. And finally, I just want to. I'm going to finish it with APM this December. Hoping.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So you're nearly there. Nearly there. Many congratulations. So
Thank
it's
you.
been a steady journey for you, especially at strategic professional level. Tell me
Yeah.
something I have to ask. Have you always been a genius?
I don't
Hey,
know.
have you been like this ever since you were, kindergarten, 90% in everything or something? Have you?
No, I am so sure the SBL was a fluke.
Don't be so bashful. No, I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure you deserved it. I was talking to a friend of mine who does a lot of marking for SBL. And when I told him about your score and the score of another student of mine who also got in it, where he got 89, and he said, "My God, with SBL, especially with a written subject, it's hugely unusual. He's been marking." He says he's marked thousands of SBL scripts, and he's only ever seen in all those thousands. He's only ever seen two scripts which got in their 80s. So you really are in a minority. Tell me, have you heard anything from the ACCA about your performance?
Yes, actually, they called me last week. It was
Oh,
very
cool.
interesting. Yeah, yeah. They called me last week. They said I'd get something in my mail. I'm waiting for that.
Oh, wow. Well, I hope you share that with us,
Of course.
Zihan.
So yeah, for
I'd
sure.
love to. I'd love to hear what this mystery letter is about.
Yeah,
I have some ideas, but I don't want to speak out of turn. So please keep us informed, okay?
I will do.
All right. So yeah, that was great. I mean, tell us a little bit about your if we can just focus down to strategic professional. You said you took AFM and SBR last year. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And how did you decide in which sequence to take the papers?
I think the first paper was like an easy decision because I had done FM just before. So I
Okay.
started with AFM because I thought that it'd be easier for me to
Right.
remember and to follow through.
Right.
And then it was between SBR and SBL because I wanted to get done with those primary papers. Um, and then I think it was just an easy decision to do SBR because at that point I was also working with audit. I was doing a lot of accounting um, kind of a role. So I thought it would
Okay.
just complement my work with the studies.
Great.
And yeah,
That
and
makes sense. That makes absolute sense. And can I ask how you prepared for those papers?
I actually prepared through FME as well.
Oh,
I
good girl.
I yeah,
Nice one.
I discovered FME when I was doing my AFM paper,
Yeah.
and at that point, I knew getting into strategic level, I would need more hours than I did when doing just my previous levels. And so I was also looking for tuition providers around in Canada. It's difficult to get around here
Mm-hmm.
because ACC is not quite well known, quite so well. So I was looking for online tutors as well. And the fact that what I was looking for is flexibility. And I thought online platform provided that. And of
Right.
course, the fact that all the tutors on FME have such great experience, I think that was it just sealed the deal for me.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm very proud to be working with these guys. They are hugely experienced, hugely successful, and we're building up a great hub actually of high quality tutors on that platform, and I'm proud to be part of that team. They are superb in all the subjects that they teach. So yeah, it's obviously turned out to be a good choice. You passed the first two papers first time, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all three actually.
Sorry?
All three, all
All
three first
three.
time.
Sorry,
Yeah,
SBR, AFM, and
and SBL.
oh, okay. The first, yeah, I said the first two, but now we'll come and focus on SBL. What I really want to talk about, because that's what gets me excited. So tell us about your experience with SBL, and I'd really like you to be kind of open and frank, and um, so that we all understand how what the process is like and what you liked, and maybe some suggestions that you can make. That maybe I could do better. I'm quite happy. I'm always prepared to improve things. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started preparing for SBL, I think 2 months ago, 2 months prior.
Wow.
And I know I remember I approached you even earlier than that, but because of work, I was only able to touch base just 2 months prior to the
Yeah.
exam. And I think what I really liked, and I always like about FME as well, is the fact that there's a WhatsApp group that always keeps you on your toes.
Right.
So I love the SBL WhatsApp group because they were so interactive. They would always come back and say what they're looking at, or so many questions to ask. So even if I didn't have a lot of questions right then and there, I was always so informed. And then there were times when I thought that, oh my God, I'm so far behind. Let me just read up this article because they know so much.
Yeah.
So and of course, I mean, I cannot speak much about, or I cannot speak a lot for the fact that the tuition or the mock and the revision, everything is laid down so well. Everything is just one after the other. So I don't have this um, thought of thinking, what do I study? When do I study? What
Mm-hmm.
after what?
Mm-hmm.
And like get lost maybe in the middle of it all. And so I mean the structure was there. There was a group that was always talking,
Mm.
and plus you were always giving great feedback on the homework. So I think the homeworks helped so much because like the fact that if I were on my own, I'd probably not do enough homeworks, or I'd
Right.
probably not even start doing any homeworks until the last minute. But the fact that you had given homeworks and there were deadlines, I was kind of like self-forced to work on them, and helped me so much. And the timely feedback to say that, okay, you know, maybe it's 4 hours, you're spending so much time on one question and that's not needed. And that kind of helped me also like time myself well
Yeah.
in the future, like mock exams that I gave, or homeworks that I was working on. So that was very, very helpful, I
Great.
think.
Well, it's lovely to hear you say that. And yes, I mean, these are all things that I try and, because I've been there, I've been where you are, and I kind of try and imagine what I would have liked to have seen on a program. And you know, in the times that we live in now, online seems to be the standard. COVID or no COVID, I think it'll continue to be the standard.
Yeah.
And so one thing I tried to address was this kind of feeling of being alone, preparing on yourself, which is the big risk of online courses. And so by incorporating the WhatsApp group, which I know my colleagues have as well on FME, and by kind of maintaining this dialogue with my students, my aim is to make them feel that they're part of a group. So they're independent, but they're not alone. I like that expression. And so it also means that you can work flexibly, fit in with your full-time work and your other commitments, and still do a fantastic job. So yeah, I'm delighted to hear you say that. And yes, you're right. This group were very, very chatty, and it makes a huge difference. It really does, because any group adds value to one another if they go in, with a constructive mindset, and these guys all did. Your colleagues, they shared the challenges, they shared solutions with one another, and it kind of broadens the conversation. I think that's helpful to everybody. So I'm delighted to hear that, because I was kind of looking back at some of the scripts that you sent me. Don't worry, I'm not going to share them here, so don't worry.
Thank you.
But I do remember that you did obviously some excellent work. Your writing was very easy to read. I remember that, and it was very well laid out. And I remember thinking, my God, she's hitting all the points, one after the other, and she's doing them so well. And clearly, you have a sense for the subject. How did you? I mean, you mentioned overrunning on time with the exams and the homework questions. So how did you cope with that? How did you deal with that in the real exam? Because clearly, it was less of a problem for you in the exam.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that I picked up on just prior to the exam a couple of weeks ago was that looking at the marks, how many points do I have to kind of put in, and then just writing the points down on the exam sheet itself to say that, okay, these are the points I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to look here or there. These are what came up. So I think that was very helpful. And the other thing that I did was I kind of practiced reading the exam question within 30 to 35 minutes of me kind of getting the paper. So that kind of gave me extra time to work on the answers. So I was practicing on that, and that kind of helped so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the kind of thing that you only learn to do through practice. I think if you don't practice it beforehand, it's difficult to discipline yourself in this way. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of practice. And I think your like the whole structure of the program stressed on practicing a lot of questions at all times. So I think that was so helpful. Like I said, if it were up to me, if I was left alone, I would have maybe read through Kaplan or BPP. I would have probably just read through the materials and not practiced it, like written it. But I was forced to do so, and I'm really grateful for that. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, this is a mistake that many SBL candidates make, which is they assume that it's just a load of blah 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 and a little bit of theory, and all you need to do is read the textbook and you'll pass. And you and I both know that's not the case. And we both also know that the technique, including time discipline, is absolutely crucial. And that is, that is one of the main reasons that that most students don't get through. So clearly the practice kind of got you in that frame of mind. I got this wonderful piece of feedback actually from one lady in your group, and she said that she'd done so many questions that by the time she walked into the exam, she wasn't at all worried about it because she knew exactly how to deal with it. And I thought, isn't that great? Because that's exactly, where I wanted all of you to be.
Yeah.
So I'm pleased. So tell us about the exam itself. I mean, how did it feel, this 4-hour process?
I think COVID made it a lot more interesting. Thankfully, it was still a paper-based exam
Okay.
when I wrote it in September, and it was a bit uncanny, I suppose. Like when we entered, we had to wear a mask all through, so 4 hours
Oh
of
no.
wearing a mask. And then when we entered, there was this COVID form, and like lots of like checking and lots of ensuring that everything goes well. So I guess I was slightly unnerved or
Yeah.
by that experience. But then they of course they'd taken their precautions, and we didn't have people sitting very close to each other. And then once we were kind of all settled in, at least once I was all settled in and I knew that, okay, nobody's sitting around me, I'm absolutely safe, I just dived right into the paper. It was very smooth for me. Yeah.
Wonderful. So you started on time and everything.
That's on time. Yeah.
Oh,
Thankfully, we started on time. We had no issues, no hiccups.
brilliant.
I think we were just delayed by, say, 10 or 15 minutes, but they gave it back to us later on at the
Oh,
end of the
okay.
exam. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh, well, that's good, because I know again, you'll probably remember from some of the WhatsApp chats, with some of your colleagues were quite worried about, delays and so on. And so it's good to hear that. And what about the actual exam process? How did you feel during, before, after? Do you
I
remember now? Or?
Well, I think I am so comfortable with paper exams that I am always, or I have always been comfortable with giving that. Even though it's a 4-hour exam for me going in, I think I was worried, would I be able to complete all my like answers? So I remember in the morning I was really nervous, and I was like, oh my God, I have to ensure that I write for each and every like question. I have to answer for each and every question. So
Brilliant. Mm-hmm.
kind of had that in my mind.
Great.
But I now, when I look back at those 4 hours, I don't even know how that flew by. I really
Mm.
don't know. I think I just kept writing and writing and writing.
Yeah.
It is a beast of a paper. It is a beast of a paper. And if,
Mm.
like, I think typing would definitely be a lot more easier than writing it for 4 hours. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
especially if you got a sentence wrong and then you have to like strike it out and then write it again, it kind of can get messy that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
as you say, it is a beast. I think that's a very good word for SBL. I think we should rename it SBL the Beast. Uh, because
Oh, yeah,
it is,
picking.
a lot of the students think, well, 4 hours, lots of time, because they're used to 3 hours and the reading time. But actually, 4 hours just flies by, as you just said, and by the end of it, you're exhausted, aren't you? But
Yeah.
while you're going
Yeah.
through. So did you manage to complete all your answers, or did you leave them
I did. I
halfway?
managed to complete all. And what's
Did
even,
you?
yeah, I did.
Good for
What's
you.
interesting was, I think it was a non-profit
Yeah.
organization that came, and I know a lot of people in the WhatsApp group, they were saying, "Oh my God, like, would you write about non-profits? You can write
Yeah.
so much about profit organizations, right?" But I didn't feel that in the exam. I didn't feel that way. I didn't think that, oh my God, this is something I haven't prepared for. I didn't
Right.
know how to do a non-profit. So I didn't feel that way, but it was well. It was I managed to finish all my answers, and I was
Excellent.
was very happy with it.
So you were clearly good with your time discipline then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How did you
I made
control your time? Did you write the times down that you had to finish each question, or?
no. So I had my, yeah, kind of like I had that mentally written down in my head,
Okay.
but I
Okay.
had a small like hand watch in front of me, and I made sure that if it was like a 30 marks, I had to just finish that within half an hour, and I wouldn't spend an or less, or 28 minutes, I suppose, and not spend a minute more on that. And if I did, I'd just leave some space and move on.
Great.
And because I saved that 20 minutes from my question reading, I was able to now allocate that like
Add
across
it to
all my
your
answers.
answering time.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, I was able to finish 5 minutes before as well, so I was able to.
Really? Wow. Definitely an unusual occurrence from what I hear. Most students think, oh my God, I finished, but I didn't manage to complete all the answers, and finished just on time, thank God. But the important thing is that you attempted all the questions. So you came out. Just talk us through. You came out of the exam hall. What were the thoughts going around your head? How did you feel you'd done?
Actually, right after I write every exam, I never have any thoughts until I read somebody on WhatsApp writing something, right?
I can imagine.
I just always forget about it, because I love to forget about my exam.
Yeah.
Until my exam results. I mean, I know my husband asks me that, how'd your paper go? And I say that, okay, you'll know when the results come out, but I think it went well in my head.
You felt confident.
Yeah, I did. But then I was reading some of those answers on WhatsApp group, and I was like, oh, I don't think I wrote it that way.
Yeah. But it's always the way, isn't it? I mean, you're not new to exams. It's always the way. You come out and someone says, did you say A, B, C? And you think, no, I didn't even think of it.
Was I supposed to? And and so I think you also closed down the group, and I was so thankful for that.
I did. I closed the group. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Right. Once, like a few days later, and once we're done with the program, so I was so thankful for that, because I don't want to hear any more about the exam, I suppose.
Excellent. I'm so happy to hear. So what are your plans now, Zihan?
I'm actually preparing for the APM paper this December. I know I'm very close. I just have a month of preparation, and it's been a lot harder, especially because the time frame has been a little less. I only started mid-October, and this time, I think I'm even more skeptical and unnerved, because they're offering only remote exams in Canada. They cancel the paper examinations.
Right.
And I'm just very nervous about that. I just hope it all goes well. But I think it's not even about typing. It's just about being able to write the exam and being able to at least enter the platform and write the exam. That's
right. Are you preparing with FME again, or?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah.
Okay, so we have this opportunity where you can practice on the TestReach platform.
Yeah.
So you can get familiar with it.
Yes. Thankfully.
And you'll be fine. Yeah. So clearly you'll be well prepared for APM, going by your experience thus far. We're certainly with Strategic Professional. I believe you will. I know you told me before you're a shy person and you're not used to doing this kind of thing. But you can't hide now. You can't earn 84% and hide, all right? So I'm sorry, Zihan. No, but it was brilliant. So tell me one last question. If you were to give, I don't know, some advice to students who are thinking about SBL now, or preparing for it, what would you say to them?
I think like some of the points that I'd mentioned that I had done during my study was just be mindful of the time, that it is a long paper, but that does not necessarily mean you have all that time to write the answers. And just to kind of go through everything and not like nitpick and choose and say that, okay, I want to study this and maybe not that, maybe not, it's not going to come, or just go through everything in detail. The articles were very helpful. And I think what I really loved about this SBL paper in general was the fact that it combines real world applications to like a theory paper, right? So you're reading so much about the outside world, and the more you read, the more articles you read, the more you know about the world. It's so helpful. And I think like you said, that you were also advising on reading some of the economist papers and some other articles out there. I think those were very, very helpful. So I think students should definitely go out and do that. And they have nothing to fear for this paper, definitely.
Excellent. It's so good to hear. No, but you know, what you just said is exactly what the ACCA have kind of, what their intention has been with SBL, and to make it as real world as possible. And I agree with you. A crucial aspect of that is that you are aware of what's going on in the big wide world. Otherwise, you know, we tend to kind of limit ourselves to our immediate environment, our work environment, or our home environment, and SBL requires us to, you know, puts us in a completely different situation, and that's why it's so important to kind of expose yourself to different, you know, different situations, different commercial situations, just to know, to understand, you know, the issues involved. Because that's what you're expected to reflect in the examination.
Right.
So yeah, so that's why I include all of those articles, and you know, I add to them all the time. The list has become bigger since you left us, Zihan. So if you ever want to come back and have a look, you're welcome. All right. But somehow I suspect you're not in a rush.
No, but I think what this course has helped me do is kind of like help me pick up on these articles, on these reading habits that I've kind of forgotten that I had, or I didn't quite focus on for a long time.
Right.
It's so important to keep abreast of everything that's going on, especially with COVID. You tend to kind of get aloof. You tend to kind of forget what's going on around you. So I think I love this paper simply because you learn so much, just more than just the exam topic and the exam material. You learn so much more about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it certainly showed through in your performance. So congratulations again, Zihan, and thank you for taking the time to put this together and help other students. And we eagerly anticipate what that letter says from the ACCA. Okay, we look forward to hearing from you. You promise you tell us?
Absolutely. I'll send you a screenshot, definitely.
All right. I look forward to receiving it. Take care of yourself and have a wonderful day,
Thank
Zihan.
you.
And thank you again.
Thank you
Bye
so
now.
much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.